Captain Jack stood tall on the bridge of the horizon, his eyes fixed on the main screen. The massive alien ship hung in space before them, its smooth surface reflecting the distant stars. It was at least 10 times the size of the Horizon, Earth's most advanced exploration vessel. "Any response to our greeting?" Jack asked, running a hand through his short gray hair. Officer Pete shook his head. "Nothing, Captain. We've tried all frequencies." The bridge was quiet. 6 months into their deep space mission, the Horizon had detected strange energy signals from this uncharted sector. No one expected to find an alien ship of this size waiting for them. "Try again," Jack ordered. He felt sweat on his palms but kept his voice steady. This was humanity's first confirmed contact with an alien civilization. History was happening on his bridge. Suddenly, the main screen flickered and a strange image appeared. The crew gasped. It was hard to describe what they were seeing. The alien had a tall, thin body that glowed with inner light. Its head was shaped like a teardrop, with no visible eyes or mouth. "Greetings," Jack said, stepping forward. "I am Captain Jack of the Earthship Horizon. We come in peace." The alien did not respond directly. Instead, it turned and gestured to something off-screen. A moment later, another creature appeared. This one was different, bulky, with grayish skin and multiple eyes. It opened its mouth, and a deep voice filled the bridge. "The luminaries. Acknowledge your presence, primitive ones. You will follow our vessel to the nearest outpost for examination." Jack frowned. "We're explorers, not subjects for examination. We offer friendship and knowledge exchange." The bulky creature made a sound like rocks grinding together. It might have been laughter. "The luminaries do not exchange knowledge with savages. You will follow or you will be destroyed. The voices have spoken." The screen went dark. "Friendly bunch," said Tom, the ship's security chief. His hand rested on his weapon. Science Officer Nia, a tall woman with dark skin and quick eyes, was already analyzing the transmission. "Captain, that second creature wasn't one of them. Its brain waves showed signs of stress and control. I think it was translating under duress." Jack nodded slowly. "So the glowing ones are the luminaries, and that other creature is what they called a voice?" "That's my guess," Nia said, "and I don't think we should follow them." But they had little choice. The luminary ship released smaller craft that surrounded the horizon. Their engines stopped responding to commands. They were being pulled along like a fish caught in a net. 3 days later, the horizon reached what the voices called an outpost. It was a massive space station orbiting a red giant star. The station housed hundreds of ships and countless beings from different species. Under guard, Jack and his senior officers were escorted through the station. The luminaries glided ahead of them, while various voice creatures followed behind, translating orders. "The savages will be processed and categorized," said one voice, a squat creature with 6 limbs and scales. "Their technology will be examined and archived." "And then what?" Jack asked. "Then your species will be assigned its proper place in the order," the voice replied flatly. They entered a vast chamber with a curved ceiling that displayed the stars outside. In the center stood a row of large transparent containers. Each held a different alien creature, connected to machines by tubes and wires. The aliens floated, in clear liquid, eyes open but unseeing. "What is this place?" Nia whispered, her scientific curiosity battling with growing horror. A different voice approached. This one looked almost like a large insect with delicate wings. "This is where voices are made," it said. "The luminaries choose suitable specimens from each discovered species. These serve as translators and intermediaries." Jack felt cold. "You mean they're taken from their people and modified?" "It is an honor to serve the luminaries," the insect-like voice said, but Jack noticed its wings trembled slightly as they continued the tour. Nia managed to secretly scan the facility with a hidden device. The guards eventually led them to quarters where they would stay while the luminaries decided Earth's fate. "They've contacted Earth," Tom reported after checking a small receiver hidden in his boot. Our home base received a transmission from the luminaries. They're sending a delegation to welcome Earth to the galactic community. Welcome us as equals or as subjects? Jack asked. Tom's face was grim. I think we know the answer to that. That night, while most of the crew slept, Nia showed Jack and Tom what she had discovered. Her scans revealed that the station housed over 50 different species, most serving the luminaries in various ways. The voices were everywhere, acting as the luminaries' mouth and ears. The voices aren't just translators, Nia explained, showing them data on her tablet. They're biological computers. The luminaries have altered their brains to process and transmit information. They can't disobey or speak freely. Slaves, Tom said. Worse than slaves, Nia corrected. Tools. And I found something else. She swiped to a new image that showed a section of the station they hadn't visited. They're preparing new voice containers. One matches human proportions exactly. Jack stared at the image. They're planning to turn humans into voices. Not all humans, Nia said. Just enough to control the rest of us, and look at this. She showed them a star map with Earth clearly marked as the next target for something called full integration. Before they could discuss further, alarms blared throughout the station. A voice announcement in multiple languages echoed through their quarters. Attention. Human specimen captured attempting to breach restricted area. All humans will report for immediate processing. Jack looked at his officers. Someone from our crew got caught snooping. Guards burst into their quarters minutes later, dragging a bloodied crew member between them. It was Alex, one of their scouts. Captain, Alex gasped. I found... They have plans. Earth is... A luminary glided into the room, followed by a humanoid voice with pale blue skin. This specimen will be the first human voice, the blue voice announced. The rest of you will witness the process to understand your future. The luminaries have determined that humans, despite their savage nature, have suitable neural pathways for voice conversion. Jack stepped forward. We won't let you do this. The luminary pulsed with light and the voice translated, Your permission is not required, savage. Your species will serve, as all species serve. The luminaries bring order to chaos. You should be grateful. As they took Alex away, Jack caught his officer's eye and gave a slight nod. A plan was forming in his mind. If the luminaries saw humans as savages, perhaps it was time to show them just how savage humans could be when protecting their own. They would find a way to cut out the tongues of these self-proclaimed gods, even if it meant war. Captain Jack paced in the small room where the luminaries had locked his team. Alex had been gone for 6 hours. The guards had taken their weapons, but Nia had hidden her small scanner in a secret pocket. We need to find Alex and get back to our ship, Jack said, his voice low. Tom nodded. The station is huge, but I memorized the route they took him. If we can get out of here, I can lead us there. Nia was studying her scanner data. Captain, I've found something important. She showed him the screen. These readings from the voices show unusual brain patterns. It's like they're partly conscious but trapped in their own minds. Can they be freed? Jack asked. Maybe. Nia's eyes lit up with an idea. The machines controlling them work on neural pathways. If we could disrupt the signals somehow. A soft hiss interrupted them as the door slid open. A voice entered, one they hadn't seen before. This one looked almost human except for golden skin and 4 arms. Do not speak, the voice whispered, looking over its shoulder. I am not supposed to be here. Jack tensed, ready to fight if needed. Some of us retain pieces of our old selves, the voice continued. When the luminaries sleep, the control weakens. Your kind has strong minds. Your friend fights the conversion. Even now. Alex is alive? Jack asked. Yes, but not for long. The process is nearly complete. The voice's eyes darted nervously. I can help you. Others like me want freedom too. Why would you help us? Tom asked, suspicious. Because in all my years as a voice, no species has ever called the luminaries gods to their face. A small smile appeared on the voice's face. Your captain shows courage. Maybe humans can do what others could not. The voice gave them access cards and directions to the conversion chamber where Alex was being held. It left quickly, promising to create a distraction in another part of the station. 30 minutes later, alarms blared across the station. Jack, Tom, and Naya slipped out of their room, following the escape route the voice had shown them. They passed other aliens rushing to respond to what they hoped was their allies' distraction. This way, Tom whispered, leading them down a narrow corridor. They had to hide twice as luminary guards floated past, their bodies glowing with angry red light. The conversion chamber was a large room filled with tanks and machines. In the center was Alex, floating in a clear liquid, tubes running into his body. His eyes were open but empty. "We're too late," Tom said. "No," Nia replied, rushing to the control panel. "The process isn't finished. Look at the status bar." She pointed to a screen showing the conversion at 87% complete. Jack stood guard, while Nia worked on the controls. Tom found a storage locker with their confiscated weapons. "Hurry," Jack urged. "That distraction won't last forever." Nia's fingers flew over the alien keyboard. "I can't stop it completely, but I can pause it and drain the tank. We'll have to carry him." The liquid drained from Alex's tank, his body slumped against the glass. Tom and Jack carefully removed the tubes from his skin and lifted him out. "Is he alive?" Jack asked. Alex's eyes fluttered. Captain," he whispered, his voice rough. "We've got you," Jack assured him. "Can you walk?" Alex tried to stand, but fell, back into their arms. "My head. There's so much information. I can see their plans." "What plans?" Nia asked, still working at the control panel. "Earth. They want Earth," Alex said weakly. "Not just for voices. They need our planet's core, rare elements. They strip worlds after converting enough of the population to serve them." Jack's face hardened. "Not our world. Not if I can help it." Nia suddenly called out, "Captain, I've accessed their main database. I'm downloading everything I can about the voices and the luminaries." "Good work," Jack said. "Now let's—" The door slid open. A luminary floated in, its body pulsing with angry red light. Behind it stood two voice guards with weapons pointed at the humans. "Savages," came the translation from one of the voices. "Did you think you could defy the gods of the stars?" Jack stepped forward, putting himself between the aliens and his crew. "You're not gods, just bullies who can't even speak for yourselves." The luminary's light pulsed brighter, and the voice translated, "Your species will serve, but you four will not live to see it. Your defiance cannot be tolerated." As the guards raised their weapons, the lights in the room suddenly went out. In the darkness, Jack heard sounds of struggle. When emergency lights came on seconds later, the golden-skinned voice from earlier stood over the unconscious guards. "Move quickly," it said. "Others are coming." "Why did you call them gods?" Tom asked as they rushed from the room, supporting Alex between them. "The luminaries believe they are divine," the voice explained, leading them through back corridors. "They come from a star system with intense radiation. It makes them glow and gives them long lives. Over thousands of years, they convinced themselves they were superior to all other life. They reached a transport tube that would take them to the docking level where the horizon was kept." "What's your name?" Jack asked the voice. "I was once called Moro," it answered. "My world was the third they conquered. I have been a voice for 200 years. Come with us," Jack offered. Moro shook his head. "I cannot leave yet. There are others to free. But first, you must warn your world." The transport tube arrived, but before they could enter, a group of luminary guards appeared at the far end of the corridor. "Go!" Moro pushed them into the tube. "I will hold them off. When you return, bring fire and fury. Cut out the tongues of their gods." As the tube doors closed, they saw Moro charge the guards, all four arms wielding weapons he had taken. The escape to the horizon was a blur of running, hiding, and brief firefights. Tom's security training proved valuable as he led them through the station. Nia supported Alex, who grew stronger as they moved. the conversion process fading from his system. When they finally reached the horizon, they found their crew ready. The ship's engineer had managed to restore some engine control while the luminaries were distracted by the humans' escape. "Get us out of here," Jack ordered as they strapped in. "Full power to engines and shields." "What about the other ships?" the pilot asked. "They outnumber us." "They're overconfident," Jack said. "And we have something they don't expect." Alex sat at a console, his hands moving with strange new precision. "I can still access parts of their network. The conversion gave me access codes. I'm shutting down their weapon systems. Now." Outside, the luminary ship surrounding them suddenly went dark. "That won't last long," Alex warned. "Their backup systems will engage soon." "Long enough," Jack said. "Get us into jump space." As the horizon broke free from the station, Jack looked at his rescued crew member. "What exactly did you learn while they had you, Alex?" Alex's eyes were haunted. "Everything, Captain. How they think, how they fight, what they fear." He looked up at Jack. "And they do fear something. Us. Humans. Our unpredictability scares them." "Good," Jack said, his face set with determination. "They should be scared, because we're not going to run and hide. We're going to fight back." The horizon jumped to faster than light. Speed, racing toward Earth with its terrible warning and the beginnings of a desperate plan. The horizon raced through space toward Earth, pushing its engines beyond safe limits. On the bridge, Captain Jack called an emergency meeting with his senior officers. Alex sat with them, still pale from his partial conversion to a voice. "We have 3 days before we reach Earth," Jack said. "We need a plan before we get there." Naya displayed the data she had stolen from the luminary station. "The luminaries have already sent ships to our solar system. They're moving slowly to avoid detection, but they'll arrive within 2 weeks. And Earth has no idea what's coming," Tom added grimly. Alex touched his temple where faint scars remained from the tubes. "I can still access some of the knowledge they put in my head. The luminaries have done this to over 50 worlds. No one has ever successfully fought back." "Then we'll be the first," Jack said firmly. He outlined his idea. Earth alone couldn't stand against the luminaries' technology. But if they could disrupt the voices, cut off the luminaries' ability to control their empire, it might give Earth a fighting chance. "We go back," Jack explained. "Back to the station with a team of volunteers. We free as many voices as we can and shut down their control systems." His officers looked at him with doubt on their faces. "That's suicide, Captain," Tom said. "Even if we could get back in, the station has thousands of guards. Not to mention getting past their fleet," added the ship's pilot. Jack nodded. "I know the odds. That's why I'll only ask for volunteers." Alex spoke up. "There's another problem. The voices aren't just held by machines. The luminaries use a kind of mental link. Even if we free the voices physically, their minds are still chained." All eyes turned to Naya, who had been studying the voices' neural patterns. She hesitated, then said, "I might be able to create a virus. Not a biological one. A code sequence that disrupts the neural link between the luminaries and the voices." "Can you do it in time?" Jack asked. "With Alex's help?" She looked at the rescued crew member. "The partial conversion gave you insight into their systems. Together, we might be able to make it work." The horizon reached Earth 3 days later. As they approached the blue planet, Jack felt a wave of emotion. This was what they were fighting for. Not just humanity, but their home. The reception at Earth Space Command was not what they had hoped for. Military leaders listened to their report with skepticism. "You expect us to believe that glowing aliens are coming to enslave us?" General Mills said, his bushy eyebrows drawn together. "And your plan is to go back and cut out the tongues of their gods? It sounds like space madness." Jack kept his temper in check. "We have proof." He nodded to Nia, who displayed the data they had collected, including scans of the voice conversion chambers. Alex stepped forward. "Sir, I was almost turned into one of these voices. The scars aren't just on my skin." He touched his head. "I can still feel them in my mind. The luminaries are real and they're coming. After hours of debate, Earth's leaders agreed to provide limited support. They couldn't spare a military fleet based on one ship's report, but they authorized Jack to take a small strike team back to the luminary station. "You'll have one of our new stealth ships," General Mills told him. "It's smaller than the Horizon but faster and harder to detect. If you can bring back more concrete proof, we'll commit more resources." Jack thanked him, knowing it was the best they could hope for. As they left the meeting, Tom shook his head. "They don't really believe us," he said. "They're just humoring us because of your reputation." "It's enough," Jack replied. "We'll make them believe." Over the next 5 days, Jack assembled his team. Tom would lead security with 4 trained soldiers. Nia would handle the technical aspects of freeing the voices, with 2 computer specialists to help. Ray, the ship's demolitions expert, rounded out the team. Meanwhile, Nia and Alex worked day and night on the neural virus. Alex drew on the luminary knowledge forced into his brain during the partial conversion, while Nia applied her scientific expertise to create the disruption code. Ornery. The 5th day, they presented their work to Jack in the ship's lab. "We call it the whisper virus," Nia explained, showing a simulation on her screen. "It doesn't permanently break the luminary's control, but it creates a kind of static in the neural link. The voices will be able to act on their own for a short time, maybe an hour." "An hour might be enough," Jack said. "Can it be delivered remotely?" Alex nodded. "We need to access the main control hub on the station, but once we're there, we can send it through the entire network. Every voice in the Luminary Empire will hear the whisper of freedom at the same time." Jack studied the faces of his team. They all understood what they were risking. If they failed, Earth would face the luminaries with no warning and no defense. "One more thing," Alex said hesitantly. "I've been having dreams, memories that aren't mine. I think they belong to the voice they were trying to make me into." "What kind of memories?" Jack asked. "There are others working against the luminaries. From within. The voice who helped us, Moro, is part of a resistance. They've been waiting for a chance, for someone strong enough to strike back. This news gave them hope. They might not be fighting alone after all." The night before their mission, Jack couldn't sleep. He walked the quiet corridors of the Earth space station where they were preparing to depart. In the observation deck, he found Ray staring out at the stars. "Having second thoughts?" Jack asked, joining him at the window. Ray was a quiet man, older than most of the crew, with steady hands and calm eyes. "No, sir. Just saying goodbye, I guess." Jack understood. None of them expected to return from this mission. "The luminaries think we're savages," Ray said after a moment. "Maybe they're right. When animals are cornered, they fight the hardest." "We're not animals," Jack replied. "But we will fight. Not just for ourselves, but for all the species they've enslaved." "You know," Ray said thoughtfully. "In the old days on Earth, when explorers found new lands, they often claimed to be gods to control the natives. It never ended well for the false gods when the truth came out." Jack nodded, finding comfort in the comparison. History repeats itself even among the stars. At dawn, they boarded the stealth ship provided by Earth Command. It was sleek and black, designed to avoid detection rather than win a direct fight. Jack named it the Shadow. As they prepared for departure, General Mills approached Jack on the boarding ramp. "I've got orders to give you 72 hours, the general said. "After that, we start full preparations for defense, with or without more proof. We'll be back before then," Jack promised. "With allies." The general handed him a small metal case. "Our scientists studied your data. These might help free the voices permanently. It's experimental but worth trying." Inside the case were 12 small devices, each no bigger than a coin. "Thank you," Jack said, surprised by the gesture. The general nodded curtly. "Good hunting, Captain. Show these so-called gods what happens when they threaten humanity." The shadow lifted off silently, its dark hull almost invisible against the blackness of space. Jack gazed one last time at the blue-green sphere of Earth before they jumped to faster-than-light speed. Their desperate mission had begun. The shadow moved quietly through space, its dark hull absorbing rather than reflecting light. Inside, Captain Jack and his team made final preparations. They had traveled for 3 days, taking a longer route to avoid luminary patrols. "We're approaching the outer sensor range," the pilot announced. "Stealth systems at maximum." Jack nodded. "Hold this position." He turned to his team gathered in the small command center. Time to review the plan one last time. Nia brought up a holographic map of the luminary station. "We'll dock here at a maintenance port on the lower level. According to Alex's information, it's rarely monitored." Tom pointed to several red dots on the map. "Security checkpoints are here, here, and here. We'll need to avoid them or deal with them quietly." "Once we're inside," Alex continued, "we split into 2 teams. Nia, Ray, and I will head to the central control hub to upload the Whisper virus. Captain Jack, Tom, and the others will go to the voice containment area to free as many as possible, starting with the resistance members Morrow mentioned." Jack studied the map. "Time is our enemy. The moment they detect us, they'll lock down the station. We'll have 30 minutes at most before escape becomes impossible." Ray held up the small devices General Mills had given them. "We figured out how these work. They're neural disruptors. If we place them on the connection points where the voices link to the luminary network, they should permanently block the control signal." "How many voices can we free?" Jack asked. "With 12 devices, maybe 20 if we're lucky," Nia answered. "We'll prioritize those with technical knowledge or military skills who can help our cause." Jack looked at each member of his team. There were 9 of them total, a small force against an empire. "Remember, this isn't just about saving Earth. Every voice we free is a person rescued from slavery. Every piece of intelligence we gather helps all species resist the luminaries." Tom checked his weapon. "Time to teach some false gods a lesson." The shadow approached the station from below, using the massive energy output of the nearby sun to mask its signature. They docked successfully at the maintenance port, and Ray quickly bypassed the security systems. "We're in," he whispered as the airlock opened. They moved through the station in 2 groups, communicating via secure earpieces. Jack led his team through service corridors, avoiding the main hallways where voices and luminaries would be present. In his ear, he heard Nia's voice. "We've reached checkpoint 1. 2 guards. Can you bypass?" Jack asked. "Negative. We need to go through." Jack tensed, waiting for the alarm, but a minute later Nia reported, "Clear. Alex knew the access codes from his partial conversion. We're moving to level 3. Jack's team reached the voice containment area without incident. Through a window they could see rows of tanks, each holding a different creature connected to machines. "How do we find Morrow's resistance members?" one of the soldiers whispered. "Alex said they'd be in the newer tanks, kept separate for processing," Jack replied. "There in the back section." Tom worked on the door lock while Jack kept watch. The hall remained empty. Most of the station's attention was directed elsewhere. Nia had released a small computer virus as a diversion, causing malfunctions in a distant part of the station. Once inside, they moved quickly between the tanks. Jack found what they were looking for: 5 tanks with different beings, all recently captured. Unlike the others, these voices were fully conscious, their eyes following the humans' movements. "These are the ones," Jack said. "Start with them." As they worked to free the captive voices, Jack's earpiece crackled. "Captain, we've reached the control hub," Nia reported. "But we have a problem. The system requires a luminary to authorize any changes." "Can you bypass it?" Jack asked, helping a tall, tentacled being from its tank. "Not quickly, but Alex thinks he might be able to fool the system using the partial voice programming in his mind. It's risky. He could lose himself." Jack hesitated. They hadn't planned for this. "Alex, your call." After a moment, Alex's voice came through. "I'll do it. For Earth. For all of them." Jack turned his attention back to the freed voices. There were 5 now, being helped by his team members. One was a bird-like creature with shimmering feathers. "You are the humans Morrow spoke of," it said, in a musical voice. "I am Krell, leader of what remains of my people. We're here to free you," Jack explained quickly, "and to stop the luminaries. Can you help us?" Krell nodded, stretching its wings. We have waited long for this moment. There are others who will join us once they are free. A sudden alarm blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. We've been detected, Tom warned. Weapon ready. Jack's earpiece came alive with Nia's voice. Captain, Alex is connected to the system. He's fighting the Luminary control, but security forces are heading your way. We need more time to upload the virus. How much time? Jack asked, helping the last of the resistance voices. 3 minutes minimum. Jack looked at Tom. We need to hold them off. Tom nodded grimly. The main corridor is the only approach. We can create a bottleneck. Do it, Jack ordered. He turned to the freed voices. Can any of you fight? Krell and 2 others stepped forward. We were warriors before we were voices, Krell said. Give us weapons. Jack's team set up a defensive position at the corridor junction, using overturned equipment as cover. The freed voices took positions beside them, their diverse bodies and abilities creating an unusual fighting force. Here they come, Tom warned. The first wave was a group of security voices, beings who had been converted long ago and now served the luminaries without question. Behind them floated several luminaries, their bodies glowing angry red. Hold until Nia gives the signal, Jack ordered. Then fall back to extraction point B. The battle was fierce but one-sided. The security voices had superior numbers, but Jack's team had better weapons and the element of surprise. The freed voices fought with special fury, finally able to strike back at their captors. In Jack's ear, Nia's voice was tense. Alex is struggling. The system is fighting back, trying to complete his conversion. Wait, something's happening. The system is accepting him as a voice. Is that good or bad? Jack asked, firing at an approaching guard. Good. He's in the system now. Uploading. Virus. Now. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, throughout the station, a strange sound rose, like thousands of whispers suddenly speaking at once. The security voices attacking them froze in place, their weapons lowering. It's working, Nia exclaimed. The whisper virus is breaking the control link. All voices across the station are receiving it. Jack watched in amazement as the security voices began to look around in confusion, as if waking from a dream. Some dropped their weapons. Others turned to look at the luminaries with new awareness in their eyes. The luminaries themselves seemed to panic, their glow pulsing erratically. Without the voices to translate and carry out their will, they were isolated. Now's our chance, Jack said. Let's move to extraction. They fought their way back toward the maintenance port where the shadow waited. More voices joined them along the way, freed by the virus and eager for revenge against their former masters. Nia's team met them at a junction, Ray helping Alex walk. The scientists looked exhausted, but triumphant. The virus is spreading through their entire network, Alex said weakly. Every voice in the Luminary Empire is hearing the whisper of freedom. And the neural disruptors? Jack asked. Ray grinned. We placed all 12. Better yet, Krell's people know how to make more. The voices we freed are permanently disconnected. As they reached the shadow, Jack looked back at the chaos they had created. Alarms still blared, but now the station was in full revolt. Freed. Voices were fighting back against the luminaries who had enslaved them for so long. We did it, Tom said in disbelief. We actually cut out the tongues of their gods. Jack nodded, watching as more freed beings boarded their ship. This is just the beginning. The war has only started. Behind them, the first explosions bloomed within the station as the freed voices took control. The shadow detached and slipped, away into space, carrying Earth's defenders and their new allies toward home and the coming battle. The shadow raced toward Earth, carrying Captain Jack's team and 23 freed voices. The ship was crowded, but no one complained. They had struck a powerful blow against the luminaries, but they knew retaliation would be swift and terrible. On the bridge, Jack met with Krell and the other voice leaders. The bird-like aliens' feathers had regained their bright colors since being freed from the tank. The whisper virus will spread through their entire network, Krell explained, but its effect is temporary. Within days, the luminaries will develop countermeasures. How many voices will be permanently freed? Jack asked. Thousands, perhaps. Those who were strong-willed or recently converted. But millions more will return to slavery unless more neural disruptors can be distributed. Alex, still weak from his connection to the luminary systems, spoke up. I downloaded their plans. Before we escaped, they're sending a full invasion fleet to Earth, hundreds of ships. Jack's face grew grim. How long do we have? 10 days, maybe less. Tom, who had been listening quietly, asked the question on everyone's mind. Can we win this fight? No one answered immediately. Finally, Krell said, The luminaries have never been defeated, but they have never faced humans before. The alien studied Jack with its sharp eyes. Your kind is different. You called their gods false to their faces. You struck back when others would have submitted. We're stubborn, Jack said with a slight smile, and we don't like bullies. Earth's reaction to the returning mission exceeded Jack's hopes. The sight of the alien voices, living proof of the luminary threat, convinced even the most skeptical military leaders. The technology brought back from the station, along with Alex's downloaded data, gave Earth scientists new weapons to develop. General Mills called a global defense meeting. Leaders from every nation gathered to hear Jack's report and see the freed voices. The luminaries will reach our solar system in less than 10 days, Jack told them. They have technology far beyond ours. In a direct fight, we would lose. Murmurs of concern filled the room. But, Jack continued, they have weaknesses. Without their voices, they cannot coordinate their forces effectively. They rely on the voices for everything, translation, technical work, even basic operations of their ships. And now, thanks to our allies, we know how to disrupt that control. Krell stepped forward. The alien's appearance caused a stir, but when it spoke, its musical voice commanded attention. My people fought the luminaries and lost. 50 other species did the same, but none of us fought together. Krell gestured to the diverse group of freed voices. Now we stand with humans. Together, we have a chance. Over the next week, Earth transformed. Factories worldwide shifted to producing weapons and shields based on luminary technology. The neural disruptors were mass-produced and modified to work at a distance. Every ship capable of spaceflight was armed and prepared for battle. Jack worked with military leaders to develop a defense strategy. The voices provided crucial intelligence about luminary tactics and weaknesses. They've never faced a coordinated resistance, Jack explained during a strategy session. They conquer one world at a time, convert enough of the population to control, the rest then move on. They're not prepared for multiple species working together. General Mills nodded. Divide and conquer. Classic strategy. But it only works if your enemies stay divided. 7 days after the Shadow's return, long-range sensors detected the luminary fleet entering the solar system. Over 300 ships moving in perfect formation toward Earth. Humanity's defenses looked small in comparison. A few hundred military vessels, hastily upgraded with alien technology, and thousands of smaller craft piloted by volunteers. But they had something. The luminaries didn't expect allies. Ships from 3 other worlds had arrived, brought by freed voices who had returned to their home planets with news of the rebellion. They were few in number, but brought unique technologies and fighting styles unknown to the luminaries. The battle began at the edge of Mars's orbit. The human fleet, led by Captain Jack aboard the refitted Shadow, met the luminary advance force. Remember the plan, Jack told his pilots. Don't engage directly. Hit and run. Keep them off balance while our special teams do their work. These special teams, composed of humans and freed voices, had a critical mission. While the main fleets battled, they would infiltrate key luminary command ships and deploy the improved neural disruptors, freeing more voices and disrupting luminary control. The space around Mars erupted in light as the fleets clashed. Luminary weapons tore through the first line of human defenses, but the Earth ships were more nimble, darting in to strike before retreating. From the Shadow, Jack watched the battle unfold. Beside him stood Krell and Alex, monitoring the progress of the special teams. Team 3 has breached the first command ship, Alex reported. "Deploying disruptors now." On the main screen, they saw a luminary dreadnought suddenly falter, its weapons going silent. Moments later, communication came through from inside the ship. "This is Team 3, ship secured, voices freed and taking control." Krell's feathers rippled with excitement. "It's working, just like at the station." But the luminaries adapted quickly. Their remaining ships tightened formation, focusing their fire on the Shadow and other command vessels. The battle grew desperate as Earth's fleet took heavy losses. "Team 2 is down," Alex reported grimly. "Team 4 pinned down on target ship." Jack made a quick decision. "Divert all reserve forces to support Team 4. We need that command ship disabled." The battle raged for hours. The Shadow shook with each near miss, its shields failing. 3 more luminary ships had been captured from within, but the bulk of their fleet remained intact and was pushing closer to Earth. "We're losing too many ships," Tom warned. "At this rate, they'll break through within the hour." Jack studied the tactical display, looking for an advantage. Then he noticed something, a pattern in how the luminary ships moved when one of their command vessels was compromised. "They're protecting something," he realized. "See how they shift to surround that large ship in the center? That must be their main command." Krell examined the ship Jack indicated. "That is no ordinary vessel. That is a temple ship. It carries the luminary elders, those who direct their entire empire." Jack felt a surge of hope. If we could free the voices on that ship, the entire fleet might collapse, Alex finished. It was a desperate gamble, but they had no choice. Jack gathered the remaining special teams for one final mission, to infiltrate the temple ship at the heart of the luminary fleet. Jack himself would lead the mission. "This is our best chance," he told his officers. "If we fail, the Earth defense forces will have to fall back to the planetary shield." Tom insisted on coming with him. "You'll need someone to watch your back, Captain." The insertion was the most dangerous part. The Shadow had to get close enough to the temple ship for the strike team to board. It meant flying through the heart of the luminary fleet. "All ships provide covering fire," Jack ordered. "Create a path for us, whatever the cost." Earth's fleet responded, launching a coordinated attack that momentarily drew the luminaries' attention. The Shadow slipped through the chaos, taking heavy damage but reaching the massive temple ship. Jack, Tom, and their team of humans and freed voices breached the hull and fought their way toward the central chamber. The ship was unlike any they had seen before, its corridors lined with glowing symbols, its architecture grand and imposing. They found the control center defended by dozens of luminaries. For the first time, Jack saw fear in the aliens' pulsing light. The luminaries had never expected enemies to reach the heart of their power. The fight was brief, but intense. When it ended, Jack stood in the center of the chamber, surrounded by freed voices who were taking control of the ship's systems. "Neural disruptors planted throughout the ship," Tom reported. "All voices being freed." Jack activated the ship-wide communication system. His voice echoed not just through the temple ship, but was transmitted to every vessel in the luminary fleet. "This is Captain Jack of Earth. Your gods have fallen. Your voices are being freed. The war is over, if you choose to end it." Throughout the luminary fleet, confusion reigned as more and more voices broke free of control. Some ships continued fighting, but others went silent or even turned against their former masters. The battle for Earth had been won, but Jack knew this was just the beginning. The luminary empire spanned hundreds of worlds, most still under their control. The war to free all voices would continue. On the temple ship's bridge, Jack looked out at the stars beyond Earth. Krell stood beside him, its wings spread in a gesture of hope. "They called us savages," Jack said quietly. "Now they know what that really means." Krell nodded. "To fight for freedom with every breath. To never submit, even to gods." Behind them, freed voices from dozens of species worked together, sending messages to distant worlds with news of the rebellion. The luminaries' reign was ending. The savages had united, and the false gods would fall.